Welcome to another video from Cardboard East. My name is Jay. I play board games from Asia and share what I find with all of you. Today we're going to talk about Tokyo Game Market. I picked up a lot of games from Tokyo Game Market, and around that time they're all here on the table. But today, instead of making a huge 2-hour episode of talking about all these games, I'm only going to be talking about these 5. First up is Oboro, or dragon, which is what this character here means. Now, as I said in my last Tokyo Game Market video, there are a lot of games that come out of Game Market every year. And usually you have like a few really amazing games, and then the big chunk over here, you have oddities that are just wild and filled with wacky ideas, and the game feels more like an experiment than a fully fleshed out game. And that's what this is. This is Oboro, and I think this is a really fascinating trick-taking game. And Oboro is one of those weird, wacky oddities that feels like a really great idea instead of being a fully fleshed out and developed game. This is a very quick trick-taking game, only 28 cards, and the fact that they're even numbered 1 through 28. And the art on them is kind of neat. You get to see how you slowly get to draw a picture. So 1 is blank, and then 28 is like this fully fleshed out drawing. Cute. Then everyone's going to get 2 random color cards. So divided that up, everyone will have 2 random color cards, and then you should have like 7 cards in your hand for a total of 9 cards in hand. Now, what those color cards do is that they're going to be randomly placed within your hand, and you can't rearrange your hand. The hand you're dealt is the hand you have. And so you're going to look at your hand and then look at what those color cards are. Well, all the cards that are here to the left of this card are going to be white. The cards that are in between your 2 color cards will be red, and all the ones on this side will be purple. And that's because of Trump. So purple is stronger than red, and red is stronger than white. Now, how does this play is that you'll look at your hand and you're going to make a bid, saying how many tricks you think you're going to make. And when you play the game, it's a standard must follow. If you play that color, I have to play that color. But the interesting thing is that when you're playing cards from your hand and you place them down, there's a little card that you place them on to show if it's red, white, or purple. You can also play the color card to kind of slough, to make sure that you make your bid. So if you already made your bid, you play your color card to make sure you're not winning any more bids. But because of that, when you play that color card, it shifts the colors of your cards. So if you take out one, then now you just have red and white. If you take out that one, then you just have white cards. And it's really interesting to suddenly change suits of like a good portion of your hand. And I really like bidding in trick-taking games because, I mean, if without the bidding, then it's just, whoever wins the most tricks, and that's really never that fun because the game kind of plays itself. Whereas making a bid, and if you have a bad hand and you make that bid with your bad hand, that's really impressive. So I think that Oboro is a really good idea of a game, and I would like to see this idea developed further into like a more developed game. But this one is definitely fun to play. Next up are 2 games from Vic Village and designer Leo. All of his games come in this style of box. This is an older game called ZooStock, and this is his latest game, Vivo. So let's go in numerical order. Chronological order? You know what I mean. ZooStock is exactly what you think it sounds like. All the players have their own little zoo. It's a tiny zoo. We only have enough room to have 3 animals. And that is where the fun of the game becomes. It's a trick-taking game where it's must follow, but the interesting twist is that it's not the color. The color of the suit isn't important so much as the number. Whoever plays the highest number is going to win, but one number is going to be trump. And how is that number determined? Well, at the beginning of the game, everyone's going to take 3 cards out of their hand, and they're going to put it in the center of the table, and this becomes your extinction board. And whichever animal has the most, let's say there are 3 panda cards and it has more than all the others, then 3 will be that trump. And usually the number of trump will be a low number, like 1, 2, or 3. And it's pretty interesting to see, like you win the trick, you get all the cards, and you put them in your own little tableau, and you can only have 3 animals. So if a 4th one comes along, then this one gets pushed out. And then it gets pushed out to the next player, and that player has to make sure that he has 3. If he has more, then it gets pushed, and then if it finally gets pushed back, then there'll be some animals that go into the extinction board, and the trump will change, most likely to a high value number. And it's really interesting to see how you're managing this and how you're playing cards. And when you play cards, you're trying to play it in a way that if you give them 3 different colors, then they will overflow and then they'll lose points. Now this can seem a little bit chaotic, but one thing you can do in the game is you can lock. And all the cards on the back have a little lock symbol on it. And then instead of just playing a card to the trick, you just play a card and lock it. And therefore, these animals are staying in your zoo and they're not leaving. But I do think it's fun. I have played it at 3. I'm curious to try it at 4. At 4, it seems like it's going to be harder to get animals into the extinction board. But at 3, it's a little bit easier to read the table. But I definitely like this and I definitely enjoy it. And I definitely want to play it more. Next up by Vic Village is Vivo. You are an animal trainer and you are training animals to sing. It's a really cute, first of all, the art is cute. I mean, look at that art. The art is adorable. And a dog in a tuxedo, yes. So that alone like sold me the copy of the game. Oh, it has a dog in a tuxedo. Of course I gotta buy it. And it's another trick-taking game. There are a lot of trick-taking games and there are many that come out of Japan. I think Japan produces more trick-taking games, percentage-wise, of all the games that come out of that country than any other country on the planet. Here, this trick-taking game twist is that there's a separate song deck. And it's gonna be like a solo, duet, a trio, or a quartet. And once you see that card, then for that trick, there has to be one color. If it's a duet, there can only be 2 colors. A trio, 3 colors, quartet, 4 colors. Meaning that every time you play a card, it has to follow the song regulation. And it seems like the game kind of plays itself the first time I played it. But then there's a subtlety to Vivo that I didn't realize. And that's the song deck. Because not only do you see what the trick is going to be this round, you get to see what it is going to be next round. So when you play it, you might see that the first one is they're currently playing a duet, and the next one is a solo. So in this game, you're always wanting to be high cards or low cards. Mid cards are bad. And the reason why is because high cards, you'll win the trick, and you pick your card and you put it face down, and it's worth 2 points. If you have the lowest card, then you will be able to go first the next round, so you gain the lead, and you get 1 point. So it's a question of whether you want to super win the trick big and score 2 points or just maintain the lead and get 1 point. Taking that to account with the song cards, well then let's say I have a card and I can win this trick with the big number or the lowest number. But then I see that the next card is a solo. So I'm gonna win low for this duet and then I will win the lead. And then when I lead the next trick, I'll go big for the solo and everyone has to follow suit. So therefore, I'll get another 2 points. And there's this cadence to that song deck about what everything comes out, keeping track of how many solos, because there's only 3 solos, 3 duets, 3 trios, and 3 quartets if you're playing with a 4-player game. It's an interesting game where you want to avoid having mid, like you're a teenager. Mid is like the worst thing you could possibly be in this game. You want lots of high highs or low lows. But the artwork is cute and it gives an introduction of all the animals, and it's definitely a trick-taking game that I want to play again and explore more. This isn't a game that I loved right away, but it's a game that I definitely want to play more and explore those little subtleties within the song deck. Also, I mean, animals in like tuxedos? Oh, yes! Next up is Merchants of Sky Island. Or is it Merchants of Sky Island? Oh, both plural. Merchants of Sky Islands. Whew. This is essentially Carcassonne with hexagons and resource management. And if that sounds like it's not your cup of tea, well, you're wrong, because it is definitely my cup of tea. And wow, I'm so glad I picked this up. Now, there are 2 big troubles that I have with the game, and that is, well, maybe 3. 1, the player aid, not too helpful. I would like some nice clear iconography with scoring in there to make it a little bit better. 2, the cardboard tiles on this are a little too thin for my taste. I would have liked them a little bit thicker. 3, and the biggest problem there is that the player colors and the resources are the same color and they don't need to be, and I kind of wish they didn't do that. All that aside though, I would still recommend getting this game because it's really good. And I love the fact that it's not shy about what it is. Even the scoreboard is like, hey, look, this is a Carcassonne scoreboard because it's a tile laying game. It kind of looks like Carcassonne, right? But the gameplay itself is very different than Carcassonne. And those differences, I think, what make this game really sing. Or rise to the skies, if you need metaphors in your life. Each tile on there will be like sky or island and with like an airship on there. And you'll place it down, and whatever you place it down, whatever tiles are next to it, you're going to get those resources. So if you place red, you'll get red, and then whatever's there. And there's even one airplane that has like a victory point. So you can get like one tiny little victory point up there. And eventually you'll get enough resources, and the resources don't mean anything. They just have to have one of each color to build one of the number of buildings there. And you have a building that's like a trade post, and you do that for area control at the end of the game. There's one for ports. Now, if you get the ports with your trade post, whatever airship is there, then at the beginning of your turn, you get to get that. So ideally, you want to have 3 trade posts, or 3 ports, I should say. One for a red airship, white airship, and like a blue airship. So that way, you're getting all the resources you need. In a perfect world, that's what happens. The other one is a tower, which lets you score even more points in the game. But all of it at the end is area control of whether the island is complete or incomplete, just like how knights work in Carcassonne. So if you've never played Carcassonne or Merchants of Sky Islands, if an island is incomplete, then you will score 1 point per hex, for the size of the island, if you have control. And the control could be if you have a trading post, you have 1 point, like ports are 2, towers are 2. You're playing this little area control there. And then if it's completed island, then it's the number of tiles times 2. So the fun of the game is trying to decide where to build your buildings. Do you want to spread out, so therefore you're on multiple islands, or you try to build an island that you're placing on so you can do that? But at the same time, you kind of want to spread out your trading posts, so when you build ports on them, you're able to get income that allows you to build more buildings. And all of that, all of those layers in decision making, make for a really, really great game. And this is something that doesn't take too long. I believe it's like 45 minutes. What does it say? Yeah, 45 minutes. And it definitely feels 45 minutes, even at the 2, 3, or 4 player counts. And this is a game that I think really, really sings, and I really like it. If you like tile laying games, this is something I would strongly recommend. I have played, I think, 80% of the games that I've gotten from Tokyo Game Market, and this, I can tell you right now, is in the top 10 or the top 5. It's that good. I love Robinson Crusoe. This is just the Mystery Tales. This is like one of the expansions. Now, I even have the Collector's Edition, which is an even box bigger than this. But I've discovered something that makes me wonder, should I replace it with this? It's Robinson Crusoe. This is Dieson Crusoe. It is a print and play game that came out last year from a designer in Korea, and it was on GameFound earlier this year. And I will tell you, this game is bananas amazing. Like, not just amazing, bananas amazing. And I eat bananas like every day. I love bananas, but this is better. Like, this is just so amazing. This might just be my favorite solo game of all time. Like, it's kind of hard for me to say that right now, but this might be this is definitely the best solo game I played that came out this year, and it just blows everything else out of the water. You are Robinson Crusoe, and you are on your island, and you are trying to survive. And there's a lot of variability in this tiny little box. Just like the original Robinson Crusoe, you have different characters that have different strengths. Well, you have different characters here. I think there are 6 different characters that all have some sort of thing. One moves a little bit further. One has dice manipulation. One is better at fishing. And you also have your own version of Wilson. You have a Wilson. You have a friend. And there's 6 of them for you to choose. And they all have like a little sidekick that all help you do little things. And then you have a tool deck. It's just a massive amount of tools that you could build and try to tinker and see which tools that you want. So you have different versions of you, different versions of your sidekick, and different versions of all these tools that you can help you on your quest. And there are 6 quests in the game. And the last quest is unbelievably hard. I don't know how you do it. I really don't. Now, aside from all that variability, the core game is really, really clever. There is a dice rundown. On your turn, you'll roll 3 dice, and you'll put them in order. The lowest valued one will give you like a bonus or maybe something bad. You can mitigate that by re-rolling, but essentially you'll go into the afternoon is the bulk of the game, and that's when you use your dice for actions. And you could either do one of 2 things. You could play time with your friend, Wilson! Play time with your friend, and then as you play, eventually you can have a free action and your friend will help you and give you like stars or wood or materials, what have you. Or maybe even free actions. There are different kinds of friends. The other thing you could do is you could use that die to make tools, and there are a lot of tools. There's like a raft, there's a hammer, there's an axe, there's a dog, a watchdog. You can get a dog. Don't know if the dog is worth it though. Or you can take the die and move your other meeple around this little rondelle of actions, and it is so puzzly. I absolutely love it. But what's so amazing is that once you choose the dice and you'll place them in order. Then they'll slide down and then they will affect the weather. And the dice that were there for the weather will become your new dice for the next round. And it's so fascinating. Like you want to do a high number first and a low number second and third. And the second number is the weather, and then there are raids like animals attacking your little tent. It's really interesting because of this die mechanic. You never feel the game is randomly punishing you. You feel like the weather was your choice. You chose to put a 5 there, and now you're suffering the weather because of that choice. Or you chose to put that 6 at the end, and the bear comes bursting through your tent, taking some of your life and your bananas, because that's what bears do. And you chose it. You chose to put that die there, and that's what happens. But it's so simple. There's so much variety, and the die mechanic is so clever that I strongly recommend this game. Now, I think that reaching out to the Game Found and maybe trying to do a late pledge to get that, because you get some quality components. You won't get like this nice box. You'll get someone that's slightly bigger. The player boards aren't even player boards. They're this nice cloth that you use to kind of clean your eyeglasses, whatever that cloth is called. But the rondelle mechanic and all the variety that you have makes this one of the best solo games in my collection, like by far. This game is so good that I'm not gonna put it on my shelf. This goes in my backpack. Like I'm taking this with me everywhere I go. In my backpack, I always keep like a deck of poker cards so I can play a myriad of card games. And I'm gonna keep this as well because man, this is it's so good. And each one is like 30 to 60 minutes. And it's just you on this amazing adventure. And each game tells a really fascinating story. Last time I was in Bear Mountains and the bear kind of ruined my momentum. I made it past the indigenous people who lived in a volcano, barely through the skin of my teeth. I landed on Wolf Island where I just kind of ran out of resources and just died. And I was so close to building a raft. I had everything I needed to build a raft, almost everything I needed, but I couldn't get there in time. And I love that the map itself isn't linear. Like there are different branching paths that I can go on. I can go this way or this way. And I like that there are all these quests that I can go on. I can build up my familiarity with the game. Dieson Crusoe, if you're into solo gaming, this is a must-have. And there's been another 5 games from Tokyo Game Market. I'm gonna keep on making some of these videos as I play through more of the games. So make sure you like and subscribe to make sure you don't miss the next one in the series. Once again, my name is Jay. I play board games from Asia and share what I find with all of you. I'm gonna put a link to a video that I think you might enjoy. If it's your first time here, chill out, lounge around, check out a few videos. I did a top 100 of the best board games from Japan. And for the last 30 games, I actually went to Japan and I filmed in different locations. It's a lot of fun. I think you'll enjoy it.